All right, it's time for us to bring to you sports, and the latest story has to do with Chelsea losing to Arsenal. That story is indeed one of the latest, and we have that news for you. Well, Eddie Nketiah's first Premier League goals in more than a year helped revitalise Arsenal's hopes of a top four finish as they stunned Chelsea 4-2 at Stamford Bridge on a Wednesday night, where Chelsea were playing lackadaisically. Well, English forward was on target as he shone against the team who released him as a schoolboy. Well, Emily Smith-Rowe and, of course, Bukayo Saka, who actually got a penalty, also ensured that Mikel Arteta's side won that game. Udoka Joku from our sports desk joins us this morning here on Breakfast Central. Good morning to you, Udoka. And I can see your all smiles, by the way, after getting that victory.
Well,
oh, my goodness. Slimy indeed. But that's fine. That's okay. That's okay.
Congratulations, Udoka.
Yeah, whatever. What do you make?
Well, I'm actually happy for the fact that Arsenal got that victory over Chelsea. Not because of the top four chase now, but because Nketiah scored. I remember Nketiah said he's going to play for Ghana if he's invited for the World Cup in Qatar. So we're happy as Africans that he got that chance to get on the score sheet for Arsenal. El Neni also featured because a lot of Arsenal fans actually wanted El Neni to play, or rather start the football match, since he finished playing at the AFCON tournament in Cameroon. So it was good to see El Neni and Eddie Nketiah play that game. And the first time El Neni played in a long time, Arsenal got all 3 points against Chelsea, most especially coming back from a 3 straight game loss in the English Premier League. So it's a good one, a beef up for Arsenal and their morale chasing that top 4 position. And a big win for Arsenal as well over Chelsea. And for Chelsea, it felt like they kind of underrated Arsenal because they've been in bad shape for a long time. So that victory was quite vital for Mikel Arteta, Eddie Nketiah, and for El Neni. And for Chelsea fans, Lagos seems to be very, very quiet today, Joe.
Really?
Udoka,
really?
you had
Like,
to do
really?
that.
To do that.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. But I agree with you. I think Chelsea came out underrating Arsenal, and Christensen was in a pretty bad shape yesterday compared to previous performances. Besides that, other players too were not in their topmost performance, and it was indeed clear that Rudiger was missed at the back. But looking at the formation that came from Tuchel, I'm sure Tuchel would definitely go back to the drawing board as possibilities would allow him, and probably try to do a little retweaking here and there before the next game.
True, because looking at that formation, we saw Lukaku up front, and everyone felt Lukaku, this is a chance for Lukaku to actually bully the Arsenal defense, but it didn't happen for him yet again. Another bad night for him, and Kai Havertz had to come in as a substitute in the second half because Lukaku, I don't even think he fired any shots on target against Arsenal. We also have to make mention of Benjamin Mendy. That's Chelsea's goalkeeper now, who, Edward Mendy, I beg your pardon, Benjamin Mendy plays for Manchester City. Yeah. So for Edward Mendy, he had a bad game yesterday since his fallout with Tuchel, and of course in the Champions League against Real Madrid. I just wonder what will happen to Chelsea in the last set of games because I know they've actually secured a top 4 place, but we have to look at the morale of the players and also looking at the sanction of the club. It's still disturbing those players at the moment, so they can't just wait for the season to come to an end and look forward to next season. Who will be the new owner of Chelsea? What will be the new plans for the coach? And what will be the new plans going forward for the next season, 2022-2023 season?
And not forgetting to what will be the impact on the African players as well.
Exactly.
We equally play for Chelsea. Talk about Edward Mendy, Kim Ziyech, and not forgetting to others as well. So that's a topic for conversation, possibly another time. Well, let's take another story now this morning, Udoka. Let's take a look at a tennis star, a world #1 Novak Djokovic, who has come out to say that the decision for Wimbledon to ban Russian and Belarusian players over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine is crazy. Now, we know him to always speak his mind and talk tough. Now, Wimbledon announced on Wednesday that it had barred all Russian and Belarusian players from this year's championships due to the invasion, which Russia calls a special operation. Well, the grass court Grand Slam champion, of course, is the first tennis tournament to ban individual competitors from the two countries, meaning that men's world #2, we're mentioning names like Daniil Medvedev, who's from Russia, and women's 4th-ranked, the one known as Irina Sabalenka of Belarus, will be banned from June 27 to July 10 tournament. That means they will not play. They're not going to play at the grass court Grand Slam, Udoka.
Yeah, very, very true. And for Djokovic, he was also banned during the Australian Open because of COVID-19 issues, not because of the Russia-Ukraine thing, because of COVID-19 issues. And ever since then, he's been outspoken. He's been talking about everything happening in the world of sports and in the world, most especially looking at what's happened between Ukraine and Russia. Now, what happened in Wimbledon, talking about the ban on Belarusian and Russian players, the talk has been ongoing for months now, looking forward to the tournament, and the decision has been made. And before now, most of the tennis tournaments we see these Russian players, the likes of Sabalenka and, of course, Dani Medvedev. They get to play the tournaments, but they don't represent any country. They don't put their flags up during the tournament. So probably they're just performing bare on the tennis courts. But looking at Wimbledon, I feel like the sanctions are getting just too much on these sports stars because they are not the cause of the war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. They are just sportsmen and women, and they've been calling for peace all over the world. I wonder why the ban has to affect, the sanction has to affect even the sports male and female players. It's not good on tennis. Dani Medvedev, for example, he was the former world number one, at least for about 2-3 weeks, and Djokovic had to retain that number one spot. But going forward, if he had played, or if he was going to play in the Wimbledon tournament, and he gets to win that tournament, of course, he stands the chance to go back to being number one, but he will not get that chance to become number one again because, hey, they've been a sanction has been put on the Belarusian and Russian players at the tournament. So it's not so good for me. And for Djokovic to come out and say it's crazy, yes, I do agree with him. The ban and sanctions are getting way too much.
I agree. The ban and sanctions are getting way too much. Well, it also means that if this continues, then they might have to also look into football as well. I mean, take a look at Manchester City player Zechenko, who is from Russia, I beg your pardon, Ukraine, and of course he's still playing. So they might have to start looking at players in other sporting codes and then tell them that you may not be able to play, you're going to be banned. So I personally stand with Djokovic for this one. I don't know about you.
Because it has affected the sports as well. The World Cup qualifiers, Russia has been sanctioned. They don't get to play their World Cup qualifiers. And Putin said, look, it is too much. It doesn't have to do with the Russian national team. So why are you taking them off these qualifiers? A lot of Russian players who play in the Premier League will get affected as well. Even in the world of sports generally, from basketball to football to tennis, it is affecting them. And they are not the cause of the war between Ukraine and Russia.
Well, it just goes to show that even when in a classroom of students or pupils, when the guilty and the innocent are together, they're both punished. They get the same punishment, irrespective of whether or not you were involved.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Udoka, for joining us. Right before you go, let's take a look at the other score lines of matches that were played in the Premier League. I'm sure Manchester City fans are excited because they are actually looking, they were indeed scared of losing that top spot at the position there. But Chelsea, listen to Arsenal, 2 goals down and then 4-2 at the end. Anyway, Everton and Leicester ended 1-1 and then Newcastle beating Crystal Palace. What's happening to Crystal Palace, by the way? And Manchester City, yes, of course, Pep taking that spot again, 3-0 against Brighton and Hove.
Yeah, Manchester City going back to the top of the Premier League table and a good win for them. And for the coach, Pep Guardiola, he said that if they get to draw, Liverpool will get to win the title. So they need to keep winning until the last day of the season. We saw that game between Liverpool and Manchester City, and it ended in a draw. But we look forward to more games. I'm sure one of them will drop points, and at the end of the day, one of them will be crowned champions, either Liverpool or Manchester City. But I'm more happy for Newcastle United. Since the takeover, they've been in fine form, and today they've actually survived relegation. They will not be relegated from the English Premier League. And for next season, I'm sure they'll rebuild the team, and they just might be a force to reckon with in the EPL next season.
All right. Thank you so much, Udoka. Hopefully, the next time we'll see you in the games later today, we'll see a touch of red just to show how much you're excited and pretty excited. Thank you so much.
It's all right. Thank you very much for having me.
All righty.